Hi, gang. Sparky here. I want to make a new shortcut for planning Mac Power Users episodes. I've done it in the past with some of these shortcuts, and they're very creaky and old. Like this one, it asks for a number and then assigns a variable, stuff that we haven't needed to do for years. The one I have does a bunch of stuff with OmniFocus. I'm going to try and run this out of Obsidian, and I want to do some date math. So I just want to kind of start over. So I'm going to make a new one, and this is just going to be for guest episodes. So here we go. The first thing I'm going to do is give it a name. Call that MPU guest episode. And I'll go ahead and give it the MPU green color and the microphone glyph. I do wish there were more. There aren't that many, but I know the microphone works for this. And I need to collect information. The whole idea of this script is it's going to collect some information and then use it in repeated events. Like it's going to create an Obsidian note, and then it's going to create a calendar event, and it's going to create an email. So I want to do all of that here. So I need to start by collecting inputs. And that's kind of the universal ask a question of the user thing. Let's see here. Where is get input? User input. There we go. Ask for input. So there it is. And I'm doing this just kind of stream of conscious. I haven't planned this out or rehearsed it or anything. So here we go. The first thing we're going to do is ask for a number. And we're going to call that episode number. And if you want to show more, we can turn off the decimals and the negative numbers. And we're good. All right, and then I'm going to right-click on that and duplicate it, and we're going to ask for text. And who is the guest? Then I'm going to right-click on it and duplicate it and ask for a date. And I'm going to ask for the published date. And this is where I want to get a little tricky, because I know when we publish it, and I usually know, based on when we publish it, when we're going to record it. So I'm going to try and get the record date as well, but I'm going to try and do it automatically. So this is something new. I want to, rather than ask for a date, actually, we'll do this in a second. I'm going to do some calendar math. So I'm going to look at date and then adjust date. There we go. And I know that in general, that we record on Tuesdays and for shows that release on Sundays. So that would mean 5 days before. So I'm going to take this date and subtract 5 dates to give me a different date. So now when I ask for the record date, I'm going to have the ability to put in a sample answer. So you say, what's the default date here? Well, the default date is going to be, if I select this variable, this adjusted date right here. And then I'm going to give it a name. We'll call it the typical record date. Okay, that works. So it's going to ask me, what date are we publishing? Then it's going to figure out 5 days before that and suggest I use that as a record date, but not require it. Because some days we don't record on the Tuesday for one reason or another. Let's just test this. I do like to test these things out. So let's say the episode number is 1, and this is data I'm not really using right now. I'm not using the guest, but I am using this published date. So let's say I'm publishing it on Sunday, the 23rd. Then ideally, the default date would be the 18th. So click done. And you can see there it is. It's suggested for me the 18th. That's exactly what I wanted. And I could pick a different date if I want, but by default, it's going to have the day I want. And that's spitting out January 18th. Perfect. Okay. So now I've done kind of the date math, and I've got all the inputs. I've got the episode number, the guest, the published date, and the record date. Now I need to make some adjustments to those times. I want to format them. I'm going to put these underneath them just to make it clear. How about right here, this one? So I'm going to format the publish date. And the format action, all it's doing is turning what Shortcuts considers to be a date into a string of text. So I'm going to format the publish date. So it's looking at the wrong one. So I'm going to get rid of that, clear that, and say instead I want to select this this publish date here. And if I double click that, I can give it a name so it's easier to see later. I'll call it the publish date. Okay. Perfect. Now, and I'm going to format publish date. So I'll say show more. And I'm going to do an ISO format. That's the format I used in the paperless field guide, 2022 - whatever. That's how I usually like to do this. But I'm going to duplicate this as well. And because I'm going to make a different format. I also want to do the medium format because I'm going to send an email and I don't want to send it in the ISO format in the email text. And you'll see what I mean in a minute. Okay, and then I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to duplicate this one, right click, duplicate. And you can see I use duplicate a lot when I'm making these shortcuts as I start getting it put together. But I want to also put the record date into these formats. So I'm going to clear this and I'm going to point it. I'm just right clicking in this field to do that. And I'm going to say, give me the formatted publish date. I'm sorry, the record date. You got to be careful. It's easy to get confused with this stuff. Okay, so I'm picking the actual record date. So that's what I want. I'm going to rename this one as well. This is why I rename it. I'm going to rename that to record date. Okay, perfect. So now it's getting me the record date and it is putting it in the ISO format. I'm going to duplicate this once more. And it's going to take the record date and put it into the medium format. Okay, so now not only have I collected all my data, I've also been able to do some date math and put the date in the various formats I want. Let's do something fun with it. First thing I'm going to do is create a text file to create an Obsidian note. And I'm trying lately to track all the podcast related stuff through Obsidian. And Obsidian is just a text editor that I'm nuts about. You probably heard about it if you follow me at all. This is something, it's sometimes hard to get tasks in at the bottom, but there we go. And I've got some text for this. So I'm going to pull up Obsidian. And I'm going to go now down to templates, MacSparky MPU episode. And this is the template I used for a new episode of Mac Power Users. I'm going to select all that text and hit Command-C to copy it. And then hide that. Paste it here. So what I'm doing is taking my Obsidian template and putting it in a shortcut. So we've made progress. Let's work on this text here. One of the things I like about shortcuts on the Mac is it's a lot easier to edit text. It's almost impossible on the iPhone and barely tolerable on the iPad. But so Obsidian, I'm going to have a heading one here with the name of the note. So it's going to be MPU dash, and then I'm going to put in the episode number. And I don't have a variable saved for this yet, but it's up there. So what I'm going to do is hit select magic variable, go up to the very top, select that provided input, and there it is. And now if I double click that, I can name it. And all this makes it easier later. I strongly recommend naming your variables. It'll save you from a lot of headaches later. You'll notice when I inserted the variable, it killed the carriage return. You got to keep an eye on that. Next, I'm going to put the guest name in. And in this case, I'm going to put double brackets around it because Obsidian makes that a link. So I'll right click that, insert variable, select variable, and we'll go up to the top. Guest name. There we go. And you can see it's there. Once again, I'm going to double click it and put guest name in to name the variable. Always name your variables. Okay. Why did that not stick? There we go. Sometimes it takes a minute. The record date, this is where I'm going to use those ISO dates. So I'm going to, once again, insert a variable. And I have the record date here saved, but that's actually the date item. I want the date string from the ISO. So I'm going to say select variable. And record date. We've got the first one is the date string. Here is the ISO version, which is what I want. And there we go. And guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to rename the variable. You get it? Record ISO. All right. And I'm going to fix the carriage return. Then we're going to do a publish date. This one is getting kind of mechanical now, but this is where you got to be careful. It's easy to make a mistake. Select variable, and now we've got the record date here, and we're going to select the, that was the publish date. See, I was going to select the record date. What are you doing, Sparky? All right, so we want the publish date in ISO format. That's it right there. And once again, I'm going to name that publish ISO. Looking good. Give it a minute. There it is. All right. The link at Relay, www.relay.fm/MPU, and then it's going to have the episode number. That's easy. We got the episode number. Where is it here? I don't see it on my menu, so I'll go up and select it. There it is, and it drops it in, but kills the carriage return again. Active is a tag I put in Obsidian so I can track it on my active projects. Google Doc is where I put a link to the Google Doc, and then I've got a checklist here. I used to do all of this in OmniFocus, but I'm trying to do like the checklist style stuff on the project page in Obsidian. It's just a test. You're in the labs, you get it. We'll see if it sticks or not, but I'm trying it. I'm going to go ahead now and replace the word guest with the actual guest name. So I'll hit right click there, insert variable, select variable, guest name. There we go. Another way I could have done this, by the way, and that when that carriage return killed, it killed also my task thing, is I could have just typed the variable name. That also works once you have them. I should have done that. So I've killed guest. I'm just going to type guest and see how guest name shows up. If I down click, that's actually a much better way to do it. And then I need to put a thank you note. Oops, that is not a new item. That's part of this. Send him a thank you note or her. Okay, so I've got the text now for the Obsidian note. I'm going to, then I need to give it a name. So I use the rename action here. And we're going to rename that text, and we're going to use variables again. So I'm going to first type MPU-episode number -guest name. .md, because this is going in Obsidian, it's got to be a markdown file or it won't see it. And then we need to save the file. So let's search for save file. There we go. It's always a challenge to get them on the bottom. There we go. Success. Okay, we're going to save the file. And then we're going to show more here. It by default gives you the ask where to save, but to make this really clever, you turn that off. And then it wants to save it to the shortcuts sandbox, which nobody wants. So we click on that and say replace. And then it gives me access to the file system. So I can go into my computer. I can just start navigating down users, Sparky, Obsidian, Sparky OS, MacSparky. Podcasts, Mac Power Users, MPU episodes. That is really far down the stack, but that's where I wanted to be. So it's going to save that file right to the list of notes in that folder in Obsidian. And that is a good thing. All right, so we've created a note, and the next thing I'm going to do is create an event, calendar event. And I have a little problem because there's a bug right now with this, but I'll show you how it works anyway. So we create a calendar event for the specific recording time between me and Steven when we schedule stuff. So I don't need to automate that, but I do like to have an all-day event in my planning calendar. So I'll just say MPU episode number dash and then guest recording. Okay, and then it wants the date, and the date here is the recording date. And you don't want ISO because that's just a text string. You want the actual record date. And then it goes from and to the record date. And this is the problem here. I'm going to mark this as an all-day event because I use all-day events in my planning calendar. I'm going to put it in my podcast planning calendar. Don't hate me for all these calendars. It works. And The problem is it's going to create a 2-day event, and it's a bug. I think they're working on it, and hopefully it get fixed, but I'll show you when I execute it here. And then the last step thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create an email to the guest, giving them the details and what they need to do. So let's go down here to text. Pull down. This is hard to get these. Sometimes what I do is I just put it in the middle somewhere, and then I drag it to the bottom. But when I do that, sometimes it breaks these chains. So if you put it in the middle, make sure you don't break anything. And I do have draft text for guests. So back to my old friend Obsidian here. And I'm going to go to, okay, we're in templates. So I'm going to go up to MacSparky Podcast, MPU, MacSparky Podcast. And there is the text I used to new guests. All right. So I'm going to just dump that into this text field, but I'm going to use some of my variables. So I actually don't put hi in there. I use that with a different thing I do in Mail where it addresses it for me. I've written about that at MacSparky. But I just want to confirm we'll be recording Mac Powers with you on, and then I'm going to put in there record date. And I don't have the record date in the long format here because I haven't added it as a variable yet. So I'm going to right click, insert variable, select magic variable. And so record date is at the top. And here is the medium format record date, which is, I'm sorry, man. Okay, so this is the record date. I was looking at publish date. This is the medium format record date. So I'm going to select that, and it just dropped it in. And I'm going to put record medium so I don't forget that. So we are going to power with you on blah-dee-dee-blah date. We usually record at 10:30, so I'm going to assume that's good. And I'll just add the show will publish on period. And then I need to put in the publish date. And again, I need the medium format publish date, which I haven't accessed yet. So I'm going to say select magic variable. Then I go to the publish date and medium format, which I know is this one. And we're going to rename that. Publish medium. And there it is. And then all this other stuff is form text. Actually, this one right here is not right. I need to just put a TK there. This is something I manage. I schedule a prep call with them in addition to, and that is not going to be automated because that really changes a lot. And so there we go. So I've got, the format for the email. The last step is I need to create the email. So I'm going to type email and say send email. Look at that. Doesn't want to help me. Come on. It's like threading the needle. I did it. Okay. So send text to, and I'm going to have it ask me when it runs. So I can just select from my address book. And then the subject will be thanks for agreeing to guests on MPU episode recording on, and then I'm going to type recording medium. And showing more, I'm going to have it show me the compose sheet every time so I can make sure everything's right. I don't want to just send off an email with automation. And that's it, guys. So the overview is collect some data, do some math on the dates to get the dates sorted, change the formats of the dates so you can use them, create some text for a Obsidian note, then rename and save it to Obsidian, then create a calendar event, and then create an email. And these almost never work the first time, but let's give it a try. So I'm going to hit run. Episode number 999. Done. Guest Tim Cook. Done. And we're going to record that. Let's go out into the future. Let's say July. It'll release on July 31st. Click done. Record date. it's already suggesting the 26th, which is the Tuesday before. That's cool. But let's say Tim's busy that day. We're going to do it on the 25th. All right, done. Okay, it's asking for permission because I'm running this for the first time, but that's cool. It won't do that again. And now it's already created the note in Obsidian. Now it's prompting me with a calendar event. This is what I told you about. See how it's giving me an all-day event, but it's lasting 2 days. That's not good. So I'll fix that manually, but I think that bug is going to get fixed. But it's putting it in the right calendar, and everything looks good there. And the name is right, MPU 999 Tim Cook Recording. Done. And then I can send an email. And I'm just going to click done here. And you know what? I didn't open the email because I didn't want to show my address book. Let me do it one more time, guys. Just do it one more time. It's okay. We're friends in the labs, right? And it's stuck here because I didn't give it the data. All right. So let's see. Close and run it again. I got too clever. I got way too clever. All right, 998. Done. Guest Tim Cook. And then we're going to pick a publish date. Let's go out even further. August 24th. Oops, that's July. September 18th. And then click done. It's going to suggest the Tuesday before. Perfect. Again, we're going to put Tim on a Monday. Done. And I got the same problem with this. I got to fix this. I can't wait for them to fix that. And I'm going to add the event. And now I've got to put a name in here. So I'm going to use some screencast to not show you my address book. All right. So I put my name in it. So it's going to send it to myself. I don't like to share Tim Cook's email in screencast because him and I email each other every day. And click done. And something didn't happen here. All right, so let me open mail. All right, see, I hung up mail because I was doing that. I was getting too clever. On that last one that I quit, it didn't finish the script. But once I fixed that, I didn't do any cuts here. It just happened. It opened up the email. And so it's to David Sparks. Thanks for agreeing to guest on MPU 998, recording September 12th. I did not remove the time from that. I need to fix that in a minute here. But otherwise, everything looks like it's good. I need a space between this variable and the word at, so I can fix that. And otherwise, I think that looks good. So I can close it and don't save it. And that's the broken one that I didn't finish. Don't save that. And so let me go in and fix those two problems real quick. So in the email here, what I did was record medium, but there's no space with the word at. And also I had the time added. So if I'm going to go up to the formatting on those two things, where the medium format dates, the first one is the publish date, show more, medium. I left the time format turned on. That was dumb. Turn that off, Sparky. Okay, so now it's not going to put times in because I don't want times on these. The times are handled elsewhere. I'm going to do the same thing on this one. Turn off the time. So that's fixed, and the mail is good going forward. Now let's check the calendar event. So here's my planning calendar for September, and you can see the Tim Cook recording is on the schedule for the 20th, for the 12th. And I just like these all-day events to help me keep track of big things happening. And I'm going to do a whole seminar on that, so stay tuned. And I'll close that. And then the last thing is, did the Obsidian note show up? Let's go find out. So there's Obsidian MPU episodes. There it is, episode 998 and 999. It shows up. It's got Tim Cook linked as the guest. It's got the proper dates on them. It's got the episode numbers. It's got him in the list. So everything's good here. Except for that weird thing with the date bug. I'm real happy with this script. I've been wanting to wrangle with that whole thing of giving me the suggested record date for a long time, but I just never had time to get around and do it. And now that I've figured out how to do it, I think there's a lot of other scripts I can probably add that to. And I know that a lot of you watching this aren't making your own podcasts. but I bet you are doing something where you need to send a confirming email and schedule something and prepare a text note. So I bet you can use this. I'll put a link to this in the post where this goes up, and you can download it and make it your own. Have a great day, everybody.